All right, so we are going to go ahead and write some other functions in this video. We're not going to quite get to the printing, the screen print ones, primarily because I'm at home currently and I don't have a board with me that has an LCD screen on it, although I might have one here. Just a second here, I'm kind of interested what this is. I think I have one here. So I might actually be lying to you a second. Yes, I do have an LCD screen here. And I have a PSOC device. It's not the one we're using in class, but it will be, as far as the code goes, I mean, we're just looking at the code, so it's not going to make any difference, the fact that I'm using a different PSOC. So we'll get to that, but this video, again, we're probably going to make this pretty short since the other ones have been fairly long here. We're going to write... basically, we're going to write every function except for the set cursor and the LCD print. And we're going to do it really quickly. So the clear. Well, let's go back to the data sheet again. Keep noticing that I keep referring to the data sheet just because I want to make sure that I'm doing things correctly. Okay, so clear display here. Well, there are no options, so there's no bit masking that we have to do. It's just a command. Okay, well, I already have that command in a macro, so I'm just going to do LCD write byte, and then it's LCD command clear display, and I have to put the mode in, and that's backlight, LCD backlight, ORed with LCD RS0 write. And that is literally it. Because to clear the display, all I have to do is send this to the device. And I want to emphasize how simple this is because all of our work was already done with this code here, writing the byte and writing the nibble. And the reason we want to break it out like this is I don't want to have this code in every single function, but since I wrote this out as a separate function, I just get to call that in here. And of course, we have to go through the start as well. I mean, before someone can use this, they have to use the init command and the start to do things here. But that's all there is for that function, for the clear. So let's write the one for the home. Well, I placed a YouTube link in there. Write byte, LCD command, return home. LCD backlight, LCD RS0, done. Because if I go to the return home, again, there is just a single thing here. Now the one thing I should look here though is this is the one that has a longer delay. Remember, we have the delays already built in to the I2C there. This has a 1.52 millisecond delay. So I should put in a CY delay on this one here for 2 milliseconds just to make sure that that gets executed before we execute anything else. Now the display on and display offs aren't going to be that much more difficult because remember, we've already initialized the LCD display. We've initialized it to have the command display, the LCD display on, and the LCD display cursor on. LCD entry mode set, LCD increment, LCD entry shift. We've already got it set for that. Now you might say, well, how do I, when I do the display on, how do I know what current state I'm in? And it doesn't matter. I'm just going to show you. It's so simple what you end up having to do when you're doing this bit masking properly. So we're going to do LCD display, because that's where it contains all of the display stuff. And it's going to equal, or actually I'm going to or equal it with LCD display cursor on. Because, not cursor on, duh, I'm in the wrong function, display on. And the reason I'm going to do that is, let's look at what we would have here. So LCD display currently, contains, well, it would contain at this point, well, let me go back here to LCD display here. So the third bit is, so LCD display currently contains 000 1, that's going to be a 1 because that's my command. And then this is my display and my cursor and my blink. Now, I have no idea what the display, cursor, or blink states are, but I don't care because I'm ORing this with LCD display, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. Now, remember with the ORing, well, of course, the top 4 would still be zeros, but then, well, I have 1 ORed with 0, which of course is still just 1. I have D ORed with 1, which means it's 1. So even if the display is already on and I'm doing a redundant thing here, it's not going to turn the display off suddenly. It's just going to keep it on. And then it's going to keep the state of whatever C and B are, because C ORed with 0 is just C. Because if C is 0, 0 ORed with 0, of course, is 0. But if C is 1, 1 ORed with 0 is simply just 1 again. So we still just maintain what the cursor and blink states are. And so I've now forced the display on without changing anything else. And so I've done that. And at this point, I just need to write that byte. And so it's LCD display, because that's where all the command information is. And then the backlight with the LCD RS0 right. There we go. Now we're done with that function. It's completely done. Display off is almost as easy. I'm going to, again, modify this, but now in this case I'm going to do an AND equals, because I'm going to do a bitwise not on LCD display on. Because again, if I go through this, what's currently in there is 0001 DCB. That's currently what's in LCD display. And again, we don't necessarily know what the state of DCB is. Yeah, we know that when we initialize it, it should be 110 because we have the display on, the cursor on, but the blink off. But we don't know if other code has been executed. So I don't know what those states are. But I'm ANDing it now with, and if I did the bitwise negation, I get 111, 1011. I have to make sure I was careful there, which again gives you 000 because 1 ANDed with 0 is 0. But then I have 1 ANDed with 1, which is 1, so that stays as a 1. 0 ANDed with D, so it doesn't matter what D is. If D is a 1, 1 ANDed with 0 is going to be 0, so this is 0. But then 1 ANDed with C and B just gets you C and B again. Because again, if C is 1, I'd have 1 ANDed with 1, which gets you 1 still, so C would still stay the same. And the same thing for B. And if B, for instance, was 0, 0 ANDed with 1 is 0. So we get the same there. So it's simply just a simple bit mask that you have to do to update the, oops, I managed to delete the end of the function there. It's a simple bit mask that you're doing to update the global variable, and then we're just going to do a write byte. Again, display LCD backlight ORed with LCD RS0 right. Which actually I literally could have just copied and pasted this code. The only difference in this case is that when I'm turning it on, I'm doing an OR. When I'm turning it off, I'm doing an AND with the bitwise negation on it. So we can easily do the cursor on, cursor off. So we can see here, I'm actually just going to copy and paste the code here. Because instead of it being display on, it's going to be cursor. Apparently I'm not spelling cursor correctly. Sometimes it doesn't like to, oh, because I did the wrong thing, not display on. Display, this is what should change, cursor. cursor on. But then I'm still just doing the same writing, and then I'll just do a copy and paste for the turning it off, which, okay, turning it off, same thing here, but I'm just going to do a negation, bitwise. Blink on, okay, well, copy it, paste it here, and instead of cursor on, it's going to be blink on. Blink off. And then I'm going to throw a negation in there and do an and. And now suddenly we've written a bunch of functions. That's it. But what you should notice here is all of that time we spent reading through the data sheet, kind of deciphering down how things are going to work, writing these write byte and write nibbles, has simplified these commands where we're just doing bit masking to get the right sets of zeros and ones together, and then we're simply writing the byte. In fact, we could, write a single line of code, and I'll go ahead and change the I don't know if you can do this. No, I don't think you can do a single line of code. I was trying to think if you could just copy and paste it in there, but I don't think it's going to like the and equals. Well, let's just try it and see what happens. See if it yells at us for this. Yeah, you might be able to just have this in your code and have just one line. I've never done it that way, but you know, 2 lines of code aren't that big a deal either. All right, so we still have to do the set cursor and the print here, which we'll get to those here. The print one, believe it or not, is going to be very easy to do, which we'll do that one first and test that one first just to show you how it works. In fact, what I'm going to do is we'll get it in the next video.